Welcome into the PickASide podcast weekend recap edition, week 5 college football, week 4 NFL, a lot to get to. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/at PickASide ESPN, also available wherever you get your podcasts. I'll say it again, please rate, review, subscribe. We've got a few reviews on the Apple Pod, somebody who loves the show, but always just, if all you can do is leave a star rating, please do that. It helps. If you can leave a review, please do that. If you like what we offer, even if you hate it, just tell us, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
It all helps us out. So we appreciate it if you can do it.
Yeah. And don't forget, we're also out and about this week,
It's
Shea.
true.
We will be doing Chicago's College Tailgate live from one of our favorite places in the city, Will's Northwoods Inn. So check us out. We're in Lakeview this week, 9 to 11 a.m. on Saturday at Will's Northwoods. We're going to be giving
Yeah.
away some Wisconsin, Illinois tickets for the game up in Madison. And we're just going to overall be having a good time watching some college ball.
Yeah. And Illini fans, if you want to go see your playoff bound football team, that's a good game to go to because Wisconsin teeth meet curb. Like that's what that's going to be. Whenever that game, it's got to be late November, right? Or
I
first
believe
weekend of
so. Yeah.
November.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'll be a fucking beatdown. I also, Tyler, before we do the football side of things, I just want to say a couple things. Reds in 3, Cubs in 3, Yankees in 2, Tigers in 2. That's it.
I like that. I think that if you're getting this podcast in time, the Reds are a real live dog, not just for tonight's game, but for the series as a whole. I love that from you. I agree wholeheartedly. Um, and then I feel very good about the Cubs. You're still getting a pretty short series price. You can get some minus 120, minus 125s. I love your team to advance too.
Yep.
Anytime you have a minus 160 something going for you in game one, and you've got a series price of what is it, like minus 110, minus
Yep.
115. Like I love that. I think you're getting supreme value there. And then the other series, I like Boston too. I really do. I think this Boston team's got the capability to go to the World Series.
Do you? Did I say Boston? I meant to say New York.
Did you say New York? Okay,
I
maybe you
think
did
I
say New
said New
York.
York.
I like
Now,
Boston in the series.
I'll just lay out my thought process in these wild card series. I'm taking, with the exception of Boston, New York, and you could make an argument for the Cubs Padres, I'm typically just going to take the team with the better pitcher going in game one. So Tigers is easy. They have the
Mm-hmm.
best pitcher, maybe on the planet this side of Paul Skeens,
Yeah.
going in game one. The Reds easily have the better pitcher in the matchup to me. Like, I know Snell's great, but Hunter Green's insane.
Yeah.
Cubs Padres a little different because I don't know if either team has a good pitcher, but I kind of trust Matthew Boyd in this spot more than anybody else. And then Red Sox Yankees, it's Crochet and then what? And the Yankees are going to throw Fried and Rodon at you 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go Yankees.
I like
And
the.
I think the Yankees have gotten right a little bit in September.
Yeah, they may have. I think. I mean, to be honest, dude, this first round of playoff games is tremendous all
Yeah.
around, like across the board. I love that they're 3-game series. We're only playing at one place. All of it's great to me. So I'm excited for some playoff baseball. It's finally
And
back.
the AL side is 2 tremendous rivalries. So
Yeah.
that's also fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is going
Two
to be
divisional
excellent.
matchups. That's fantastic. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I could not sleep last night. I felt like kid on Christmas because I haven't had a real playoff series to get up and get ready for
Yeah.
in 8 years since I've
And
really 7 years actually since I've really cared for
shout
a
out
big one.
the network because you get to go to the
I
game.
get to go. Yeah, I get to go. So I'm excited. So I'm going to be going to game 1 and game 2. So I'm
Good for
amped
you.
up.
All right, let's get after it for the football recap. We'll start in college where I once again got fucking brutalized. We're going to stick, I think, mostly to the big games.
Yeah.
College football was just a total disaster for me this weekend. And it started with a late play on a game I knew I shouldn't have been touching. You had convinced me not to. And then we both kind of got fucked because I took the Arkansas side in Arkansas Notre Dame. You took the under. Notre Dame finally decided to show the fuck up to their
Yeah.
season. 56-13 Irish was never a contest. I know most people didn't watch that, so it doesn't matter. And I'll also preface, outside of the biggest games, we had a spectacular Friday night.
Yeah.
Virginia, Arizona State, home runs, both of them.
Yep. We were off to a great start. And we were watching that game at the sports book too. Boy, and seeing all the Florida State fans there, I was surprised with the Florida State turnout at the where were we? Cosmo at the time or Aria? I
Dude,
think we were at
the
Cosmo.
Vegas was weird, man. Like so many fans of teams you wouldn't have expected to see. Florida State fans were everywhere.
Yeah.
Notre Dame fans, it shouldn't be a surprise. Notre Dame
Mhm.
fans are all over the planet. But like Florida State, there were Jordan Travis jerseys in the
Yeah.
sports book at Cosmo. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And they were all bummed out. And us as assholes cheering when Virginia scored the game winner, and the Florida State fans all just sad cocktail their way out of the sports book.
Yep.
That was a great delivery. And then after, like, the Arkansas thing hurt, but it was the only play I had noon. I thought we were off to a ripping start. Ole Miss kind of, I don't want to say dominated, but they beat LSU pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Auburn handled business. Like that game was never really in doubt from a cover perspective. They didn't win,
Mhm.
but it was never in doubt from a cover perspective. I felt like we were off to a good start. Washington started the game well, but this is where I want to start the pod because we have examples this weekend of coaches losing their fucking minds. And it starts with Ohio State and Washington.
Yeah.
4th and 16. Take the goddamn points. Why is Jed Fish running a fake field goal? Flip to the kicker. And then the pass downfield. Did anybody want to tell that guy he was the receiver? Why did it hit him in his ass?
Yeah. Hey, listen, 4th and 5, I can see you pulling that play out. 4th and 7, maybe. But come on, man. You're going up against the number 1 team in the country. And right there, all momentum shifted the other way. You got a goal line
Yep.
stand on one end, and you give it right back a couple drives later. It just, and you've got a great kicker too. Grady Gross has been fantastic for Washington. I mean, he was the kicker on the team that went to the national championship a couple years ago.
Yep.
So I don't know what you're thinking. You're at home. You have a chance to seize all momentum, but I will give a lot of credit to Ohio State in this game. This is a game that
So
both you and I thought they were live to lose as a north of a touchdown favorite on the road, hostile environment. But that's what the number 1 team in the country does. I mean, they just choked them out in this game 24-6. It doesn't look pretty. It was kind of an ugly win for Ohio State. But when you go on the road against a quality team, I know that Washington doesn't have a number next to their name, but that's a good football team. Both you and I know it. And the way that they kind of just strangleholded them, it wasn't a dominant win, but I shouldn't even say it wasn't a dominant win. It was a dominant win. It just doesn't look that way when you're not putting up 35, 40 points. But it for what the score, for having a 30-point, a game that only featured 30 points total, you dominated it.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to put a pin in Ohio State because I have a question I want to ask you featuring 2 Big Ten teams. We'll get to in a moment, but it requires us talking about the night game first. I'll just say I was disappointed in UW in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they blew it all with the fake field goal try. You and I were sitting in the sports book. We watched it. That's the game.
Yeah.
They just lost the game doing that.
And both you and I are in the camp of be aggressive on 4th downs, especially when you're the underdog. But that's a bridge too far right there.
Yeah, and I always think too, like, look, 4th and 16, I'm not going for it anyway. I'm kicking and taking my points. But if I'm going to do something on 4th down, I'd rather just line up like in 2025, no more fake field goals, please.
No.
Just line up and run your best play. It's always a higher percentage than a fake field goal in my mind.
Who do you want throwing the football? Your quarterback or your kicker?
Exactly.
It's simple math to me. Even if you lose the element of surprise, I don't care. Guess what? You're also not going to get a penalty on that play either. So you can get a penalty on a 4th and 16 guy tugs the jersey. You're not getting one on a field goal.
There's no defensive holding. There's no DPI on a fake field goal, but you might get lucky if you just run a play. But I thought it was insane. Jed Fish, just kick the field goal, which is the same thought I have for somebody else. What the fuck is Kirby Smart's deal? 2 weeks ago in Neyland, all he wanted to do was kick field goals, even to his own detriment. All he wanted to do was line up and kick. But this weekend at home against Alabama in a 3-point game, 4th down from the 20-yard line, we're going for it on 4th down. Take your fucking points. That fucked us on 2 ends. One, I lost Georgia -3 right there. No longer a hope because Bama's able to milk the clock out and kill this thing. We both lost over 52 and a half. If Kirby takes his points, it's 24-24. Maybe we go to overtime, and this ends up being a thriller with 80 points in it. But instead, we sit right on the nail at 24-21. We
Yeah.
don't go over. It's one of the most painful overs really I can remember because it was tracking and crazy positive
Yeah.
throughout the first half. But then Kirby in the fourth quarter turtles going for it, trying to kill Bama and get the win. You don't get it. You give Bama the ball to kill the clock. You're still down a field goal. Just take the fucking points.
Yeah. It's weird the way, and I get like the game at Neyland, you're on the road versus this at home. You think you've got a little momentum, a little wind in your sails, but boy, I was expecting a little more from Gunnar Stockton too, man. I
Yeah, me
really
too.
was. We thought, I mean, the way that he played against Tennessee, both you and I thought, all right, like this may be your last chance to buy in on Gunnar Stockton for Heisman, but what do you know? We may have another situation present itself now for Gunnar Stockton to win the Heisman. There's still plenty of quality games, and I think Georgia. It's weird, man. Is this just going to be one of those situations like it's the NFC West where certain coaches just own certain guys? Kalen DeBoer can leak down his leg in
Yep.
whatever game else in the SEC, but he's just going to own Kirby Smart. Is that what we're looking at here?
It might be. I'll tell you another thing too on this end. That was your last chance to buy Ty Simpson, and
Yeah.
I didn't end up buying Jaden Mayava last week. I'm glad. Shout out Illinois for
Mhm.
look. It was close to being a Jaden Mayava Heisman moment.
Yeah.
Drive basically the length of the field and take the lead against Illinois late, but that defense, you get walked down into field goal range. Illinois hits a big field goal, wins by one. Credit to Illinois, saved their season. Playoffs remain in front of them. Mayava Heisman's dead. USC is dead for all intents and purposes. Like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you something.
Mhm.
And I want to wrap Penn State into this
Okay.
because the display against Oregon offensively, everything I felt about Drew Aller came true.
Yeah.
He sucks. I don't want to hear anything else about Drew Aller being a first round pick. That dude is awful. Um, have James Franklin and Lincoln Riley both peaked at their respective schools.
James Franklin and Lincoln Riley. I'll say Lincoln no, because wait, are you lumping the Oklahoma stuff in with Lincoln or
No, I'm
just his
saying
USC
like
tenure?
it will never be better than this at USC under Lincoln Riley. It will never be better than this at Penn State under James Franklin.
Um,
Like you hire these guys to win national titles. You don't
yeah,
hire these
yeah,
guys to
yeah.
make the 12-team playoff. You don't hire them to get to the semifinal.
But
You hire them to win natties.
in USC's case, Lincoln Riley's never brought them to a playoff. I think there's still, maybe not be this year, but I think there's still a world in the near future where Lincoln Riley can bring playoff football to Southern Cal. Um, James Franklin got to a Final Four last year, so yeah, he may have hit his peak, but I think that's still a pretty high peak that he has hit to get to that Final Four. Obviously, you're Penn State, your aspirations are national championships. But I don't necessarily. James Franklin, I think, has done enough lately where it's the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There still may be another gear. Like if they go out and find a quarterback and like Drew Aller was supposed to be that guy, 5-star pedigree, was supposed to be this guy that brought Penn State to new heights, and he just hasn't developed that way. Now, he did have a coordinator change in there. I thought it would be better here in year 2 with Andy Kotelnicki, but it just hasn't gotten to that point. And that's a big time loss against Penn State, one that you're at home, white out, seems like every condition's in your favor. That's one that you have to have. And they let it go in overtime. There were some nice play designs. I think the touchdown that brought it even was an awesome play design right inside the low red zone there. But boy, I would have expected the defense to show up a little more against this Oregon team at home.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me. And it just speaks further to you have not felt as strongly as I have. Like I said last year, if Penn State doesn't make a semifinal, and they did, I would fire Franklin. We sat across the table. I sat across the table. No, we did. We were right next to each other
Mm-hmm.
from our market manager, Keith Williams,
Yeah.
Penn State fan.
Penn
And
State alum.
we were watching the game on my phone at dinner. And Oregon scores the touchdown, and then gets the interception on Aller to ice the game. And I just look up and I say Oregon won. And Keith looked at me and he goes, "It's time, man. They got to let this guy go."
Whoa.
I, I think people are coming to my side on this because I'm going to lay it out. The numbers are egregious.
Yeah.
Against top 10 teams, James Franklin is 4-21. Against his rivals, Ohio State and Michigan, 1-13. 160 winning percentage against top 10 teams is the third worst among coaches with a minimum 25 games at one school since 1936. I dude, it might be a case of the grass isn't always greener and you hire somebody and you're going to be bad for a couple years, but it also just it's not going to get better than this. This is what he's become. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he can't win these games. And we
He's
said the same thing about Lanning going into this, but
Mhm.
Lanning coached to win. Franklin just in these spots, now he's not winning.
Should we have seen this too?
Yeah.
Like Lanning gets his guys up. I get that there's been losses in Lanning's tenure, going like those games against Washington, like big games. But that's few and far between. Like that was one team that just had a shit ton of
Yep.
NFL players on it. And I look at Penn State, they've got some NFL players on it for sure. But this is not that Washington team. That Washington team had how many guys go in the first round? They had how many guys go on day 2? Like it wasn't just NFL guys, it was premier NFL talent on that Washington team. And I think we should have just seen this coming. You're getting the right side of a field goal. You've got a Heisman candidate on one side. And I know that both guys haven't won big games, and Franklin has the better track record in the playoff. But if you're asking me who I want coaching my team in a big regular season game more, it's very clearly Dan Lanning, even if
Yeah.
it is a big regular season game. And I get that the whiteout and everything was playing into this here. But when you do look at some of the numbers, Penn State hasn't been all that great in the whiteout game either.
No, dude.
So
Like,
we should have seen this coming. And that's hand up. That's a bad on us.
yeah. And I also just, when I think about James Franklin and the playoff stuff, think about the context of how he's gotten 2 playoff wins. It took a 12-team expansion just for him to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you host a very fake SMU team. And that game was way too close for way too long. I know it ended up looking like a blowout, but it was way too close for way too long. And then you beat Boise State, a group of 5 automatic qualifier who got a bye week because of the format. And that game was way too close for way too long. And it was just a case also of like a group of 5 team, a Mountain West team going up against NFL recruits. Remember what Genty looked like in that game? Remember what their offensive line looked like in that game? What Maddox Madsen looked like? That wasn't Boise State going up against the Mountain West where they had the premier program. It was now you're playing with the big boys. That's how his playoff is built. And then it was losing to Notre Dame, which is all he's done in his entire career. Think about this. He did not earn a top 10 win in his playoff run.
Yeah.
That's another sign of like you can't win these games.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. Like they were massive favorites in each of the, I think double digit favorites in each
Yeah.
of their playoff games. Maybe the SMU game was a little shorter, but and those are the games that James Franklin takes care of business in when he is the massive favorite. Now, this is 3.5, but it's still you're going up against a top 10 team. Yeah, we should have seen this one coming, and this is kind of a bad spot by us. But no, I think I will say this. We had our questions on Oregon heading into the season. They look pretty good. I mean, we can say that Penn State leaked oil in this game all we want, but at the same time, it does take a lot to go across the country and go and play in that whiteout environment. And Dan Lanning had his guys ready, and to win it in overtime too. Like once that game got to overtime, I was like, I kind of feel like Penn State's going to win this one. But then you had Oregon show up, get the interception, and take care of business on their end, and it was over.
Anything else in college? There are a couple look ahead games I want to ask you about this weekend, just early leans on them. because I think they're fascinating. But anything else to recap in college before we move to the national?
Um, just real quick here. Anything you take away from Indiana? Just 20-15 on the road at a sleepy Iowa team.
Yeah, I mean, it's why I didn't bet them. I said,
Yeah.
there's a world I think Indiana's a wagon, but the line feels funny. They 20-15 in part. They took a safety at the end of the game, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Just to wipe
Hmm.
it. So
Yeah.
a true 20-13 victory. No, there's nothing I really take away from it. It was a huge game that they won in blowout fashion a week ago against Illinois. And then you go on the road to Kinnick, sleepy environment. You handle your business. Everything is still in front of Indiana. The Oregon game is the one that we're looking to. That Penn State game looks a lot more winnable now because
Yeah.
Franklin can't beat top 10 teams. And I think Indiana's legit. This wasn't a one-hit wonder. This wasn't all built off the super seniors at JMU. You go on the road in conference and you just win. Like that's a survive and advance spot. They
Hmm.
did their job.
The only thing is I feel like I'm used to seeing Signetti, and again, very small sample size, just one season really of data, but when he has the sleepy spot, they punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
And like if this was 27-13, I'm cool with it. But for it to be a one possession game was it didn't feel very Signetti like. But
Yeah.
that's not to say he can't go out and just pop whoever in the mouth next week or the week after. So
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is like you get one, you survive in advance, you're on the road, move on and get back to doing what you do. And their schedule lightens up. So until the Oregon game, I don't see a loss for Indiana.
yeah, it's gonna be another fun ride for the Hoosiers.
All right. I have to ask you about a couple games coming up this weekend because I think
Okay.
the spots are fascinating just looking at them. Alabama laying 10.5 in Tuscaloosa against Vanderbilt. This is as Vandy a spot as I could find early in the
Yeah.
week. I don't
Hmm.
know for sure that I'm going to end up that way, but Bama coming back from the win in Sanford Stadium between the hedges, rivalry victory. They were impossibly good on third down. That has to come back to earth a little bit. Vandy obviously beat them a year ago, maybe revenge spot for Bama, but laying 10.5. Vandy's no joke, man. Diego Pavilla's awesome.
Yeah.
Clark Lee's got this program humming. Pavilla's coach at New Mexico, Jerry Kill, involved in the program in a special assistant role. I love everything Vandy's built. I think this is a huge potential upset spot for Bama, at least early. I'm going to do more work throughout the week. And then the other one I want to ask you about is Miami going on the road to Tallahassee as a 4.5 point favorite against Florida State. Easy thought would be Florida State just lost to Virginia. Fade them, right?
Hmm.
Not so fast. I feel like this is an FSU spot early in the week. This might be the place where in-state rivalry, hit the 4.5 at home, bounce back spot for Florida State. The problem is Florida State's a team I hated preseason, and I still don't know what you do with the Bama win. Like I can't make heads or
Yeah.
tails of what's going on with some of these top 25 teams.
I would say if you're looking at the Bama game, I would say it's not as great of a win for Florida State, but it also isn't as bad of a loss for Bama. I think they're just kind of like teens type of teams in terms of the rankings and stuff like that. I like your spot on Bama much more than I like it with Bama Vandy than I do with Miami and Florida State. I get it's going to be hostile, and maybe you just see them run back what they did against Alabama. But I've bought in on what Miami is too. I think they're a
Sure.
legit good team. They've answered every test in front of them right now. Carson Beck looks like a Heisman caliber player in the moment. Everything about like that was our only question mark with Miami going into the season was what Carson Beck like is not even what Carson Beck. It's who is Carson Beck going to be a good player? And he's answered the bell so far.
Yeah.
So we knew that they bought themselves a defense. They bought themselves skill pieces. They were going to be a good team on paper. It was just going to be contingent on what the quarterback is. And the quarterback's been pretty damn good so far. So because of that, I think Miami's a pretty damn good team.
Um, Last thing in college football before we move on, barring John Mateer having a miracle recovery and playing in Red River next weekend, I think Dante Moore's your Heisman winner. And you can still get 750. If you want to
Mm.
buy Ty Simpson at this point, go ahead. But barring Mateer having a miracle recovery and playing next week, like the one longer shot you could get me to buy would be Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. And side note, how in the holy fuck was Trinidad Chambliss at Ferris State last year?
Yeah. He
And
looked
then
awesome.
he just comes into Ole Miss and he's taken Austin Simmons' job, a guy we both liked. Trinidad
Yeah.
Chambliss is starter there. They might make the playoff. They have a chance to win the SEC. They
Yeah.
just killed LSU. Like they have a shot.
If you're
That would be
talking,
the one longer shot by. It's only 15-1 though.
I would still be in on Gunner, man. At 28, if you're giving me the price 28-1, Georgia still has marquee games. They're still going to have a chance for like Heisman moments in the SEC. If Georgia wins the SEC and you've got the quarterback of Georgia who has played in some shootouts so far this season, who at the end of the year is going to have probably the numbers that you're looking for in a Heisman quarterback, I think you're still getting value on him at 28-1. And to be honest, the other guy we were just talking about moments ago, but Carson Beck at 11-1 too. That's a cupcake schedule that he's going to have the rest of the way. So
Yeah.
take either of the guys with Georgia pedigree.
I'd be more in on Gunner if I felt like he just came off a Bo Nix loss against Washington.
That's
Where
fair.
he played fantastic and just the things didn't go right for him. Shootout loss, 13 of 20, 130 yards, just
Yeah.
one touchdown. The numbers aren't there for me to be like, yeah, he'll just rip off beautiful performances. It's another guy I fell in love with against Tennessee, and I did not think he played well. And they hit him a little bit against Bama. I was confused by it. Why do you let him off the leash to make deep throws against Tennessee, but then you're at home against Bama and you're hiding him and just trying to run the ball? It was bizarre. And also, is Georgia's defense going to be able to stay on the field enough or get off the field enough that Stockton's going to have opportunities? Because you can't, if you're giving up 80% of the third downs,
Yeah.
I don't know that your offense is going to be around enough for me to really buy it.
That's fair. They're going to have to lean on they're going to have to find some explosives the rest of the way because that's how they'll end up winning this SEC.
Have you seen the memes about Sanford Stadium and their third down chime?
No.
They play this song on every third down, and it's like some movie thing. It's supposed to be kind of like a horror movie type of deal. Um, and Georgia fans who are at the game are now saying that Georgia needs to change that tune, that they can't run that anymore. It's a PTSD trigger because Bama was so perfect on third down. Again, I don't know what you can take out of it. 13 of 19 on third down is impossible. There is certainly luck involved in that.
Even
Um,
getting 19 third down tries is
yeah,
nuts in its own right.
it's a total impossibility, but I just thought it was funny. Georgia fans are like, you can't play that anymore. That's the
Yeah.
worst sound ever. All right, you want to go down to the National Football League?
Let's do a little pro football.
Thursday night thriller. Seahawks are just punching me in the fucking head. I thought everything about their offseason was terrible. Trading DK, getting Darnold, putting him on an outdoor team behind a bad O-line. Darnold's been pretty good for them. The Darnold Sans continues. 18 of 26, 242 and a touchdown. Uh, Also, just the kicking rules really impacting the result of a game here. Arizona storms back, ties it at 20, and then Chad Ryland, short of the landing zone by literally a yard, results in the Seahawks starting at the 40. They're a play away from field goal range, and they win it.
Yeah, not everyone can be the Rams and perfect that squib, but I think that's the way that you're going to see a lot of these kickers start to attack it. I do have another, I guess, kick-related question for you a little bit later on when we talk Packers and Cowboys, because I feel like we are the special teams coordinators of the station. But yeah, no, I've been thoroughly proved wrong on what the Seahawks are. I thought they were going to be a bad team. I like their under at 7.5 wins this year. I just thought they were going to like bringing in Sam Darnold behind that offensive line, but Darnold's thrown some beauties out there this year.
Yep.
He's looked fantastic. And to get this win, divisional on the road, this is a big win for Mike McDonald too, because this is the year where you start to like form your identity as a team a little bit. And we thought it was going to be for the worse, and they have by far and away been for the better. I've been thoroughly impressed by the Seahawks team. I don't know how they're doing it.
Let's just have the kicking conversation right now,
Okay.
because I think we're going to see a 70-yard field goal this year.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think with the landing zone rules, something's got to change with the way that the field goals are happening, because it's not just kicking legs have gotten bigger. There's also like Robert Mays has talked about it. There's something going on with the kicking balls where
No.
the NFL has supposedly juiced the kicking balls to make kicking easier. There has to be a rule change or something in place because you can't have this number of drives starting at the 35 or 40-yard line and also allowing kickers to rip it from 70 with confidence because they're allowed to juice the K balls. Like something's got to give here. I don't like the idea that at the end of a game you can, because of landing zone rules or because of whatever it is with the new kicking procedures, start a drive from the 40 and be a play away from field goal range.
My retort to that would be, well, then don't kick it. Like, don't fuck up the landing zone stuff, right?
Fair.
I mean, the only reason he came short of the landing zone was because he tried to do a little trick shot to a
I know.
degree. And if you kick it normally, you're not going to have that. Now you're going to get probably a better return, but you're not getting out to the 40-yard line. You're getting out to like 30, 35 at best if you just kick it normally. I don't know. I think I like the new kickoff rules, and I think that it's created a little more action on that play. But I don't think we've hit the final status of how this rule is going to be enforced moving forward. I think you're still going to see this thing continue to be tweaked year to year.
I also think it's working in the sense that there are more points. At least I feel that way. I don't have data to support it. I haven't looked if average scores are higher, but I feel like I'm seeing 30s
Yeah.
everywhere this year.
I mean, think of a couple of the Sunday night games we've had this year. We've had 2 games get played in the 40s.
Yeah, I think the point totals are way higher, and I think a big part of it is the average drive start position is something like the 30-yard line, and it feels like every time I'm turning on my TV, I'm getting drives starting at the 35 or 40. And I look, they want more points, they're getting more points. So whatever. I just think the field goal stuff, if they're making it from 70 and they're allowed to juice the balls, something's got to give. Either keep the landing zone and don't juice the balls, or figure out how we're going to do the touchback a little differently.
Yeah, this isn't like baseball where you pay the ticket to go see sluggers hit balls 450 feet. We're talking about kickers here. No one has ever bought a ticket in the history of football to go see a kicker.
I'd say Brandon Aubrey, people might start.
Well, yeah, that might be the one that gets me to finally fork over the money to go watch a kicker. But no, the juicing with the K balls and stuff like that. I don't get why you're doing that. I don't get the intrigue there of all the things that you can do to fuck around with the football. You're gonna impact kickers with it, but I don't like the fact that it is. I like the fact that we can see a 70-yard field goal in a game. I don't like the fact that it's because of a juice ball. I think that's the best way to sum up my thoughts.
Exactly. All right, Vikings Steelers. I don't think we can talk about this game without talking about Ravens Chiefs. So I'm going to package them both because my opinion on it is directly influenced by the result there. Chiefs ended up being a quad bomb because I did well in Vegas. It was my first quad bomb of the year. I said last week it was likely going to be. That was pretty much never in doubt. Chiefs dog walked them. Steelers flip side here. Steelers Vikings. Steelers get a huge win on a neutral site field in Dublin. And the reason I'm packaging them is because the Steelers are winning the AFC North.
Yep.
The Browns are horrible. The Bengals are horrible now without Joe Burrow. Last night was an atrocity for Cincinnati. And the Ravens, it's just going to be one of those years. Madubuike's on IR. You had Roquan leave the game. You had Marlon Humphrey leave the game. You had Lamar Jackson leave the game. You're 1-3 to start the year. You're spiraling. Your defense is terrible. Like, my read on Kansas City in that game was they beat up on a team that just can't stop a nosebleed. And my read on Baltimore is you're dead, which leads my read to the Steelers game. The Steelers are winning the AFC North, and it's not because they're good. It's because everyone else is ass.
It's going to feel very NFC, AFC South-ish, the way that they get their way in. But I agree with you. They're going to find their way in. Listen, it sucks for the Ravens, but they're having their San Francisco 49ers injury bug season.
Yep.
How many times do we see this with the Niners? And we're kind of seeing it again to a degree with this year's Niners team. But that's just the year you're having when you've got that many pieces falling on defense, and the defense has not looked good this year. So I think, the Steelers are going to find their way in for better or for worse, but they'll find their way in at 9-8, right? And I think that especially those NFC North teams that match up with the AFC North this year in the cross conference scheduling, I think those NFC North teams feel pretty good about having to go up against the AFC North this season when it
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year looked like it was going to be a daunting task, but not anymore.
No, Baltimore's suddenly a winnable game for the Bears.
Yeah.
I
Cincy
think
more than winnable for all those teams too.
I think two things are true here. One, the Lions may have broken them a little bit with the physicality that the Lions play with, and now it's just like you're paying the price of that, and it's over. And two, Baltimore's become a winnable game for everybody in the NFC North. Viking side of things is different. Did you see the news that popped right before we started this pod today?
Yes.
That the Vikings are hoping JJ McCarthy will practice some this week.
Mm-hmm.
I am never taking my tinfoil hat off about this man. He was not that hurt. They thought that he did not play well. And then they saw what happened last week against Cincinnati and they started laying out the runway. Oh, week 7, week 8, we're hoping he's going to be back. Maybe week 9. Now, after Wentz put that display on in Dublin, suddenly it's, we hope that McCarthy can practice this week. It might be one of those years for Minnesota, too, where they just don't have an answer at quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Wentz, the numbers look good. 30 of 46, 352 touchdowns. If you watch that game, you know better. He was awful against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was a lot of garbage time racking things up. I would say this, though. If I'm Minnesota, I'm not making a quarterback change this week while I'm in Europe. You get the back-to-back.
Yep, agree.
I would just roll with Carson Wentz one more week. I think you're winning the game no matter who's at quarterback, and I think you're more likely to get a good performance out of Wentz than you are out of JJ McCarthy, who would be making his 3rd career start, and it would be coming in a foreign country. Yeah, that's the last thing I want to deal with.
All right, Commanders Falcons, terrific sniff by us.
Yes.
Falcons coming off a 30-0 blowout loss to Carolina. They're at home. They're short dogs. We talked about it. They were plus 1.5 when we talked about it. They ended up closing as 3-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I got them at minus 2.5. We said no matter what the quarterback outcome is, you just bet the Falcons here. And it was another one. Game looks a lot closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
The Falcons blew out Washington. And Washington got a little bit of the reality of Marcus Mariota is not Jaden Daniels. I also think Washington's just having a little bit of a regression season. Atlanta, on the flip side, saved their season getting back to 2-2 at home.
Yeah, I think that this was kind of like a meet me in the middle type of game for both of these teams. And Atlanta obviously was not as bad as the 30-0 shutout against Carolina, who also got a dose of reality this week, by the way. And then on the flip side, this Commanders team, I don't think is as good as the 40-point outing that they put on Vegas from a week ago. So yeah, this was kind of a everyone gets back to the mean type of game. I think Washington clearly missing Jaden Daniels and that Marcus Mariota fun run wasn't going to last forever. So I think that, yeah, it didn't matter who the quarterback was in this game either. I think that Atlanta was going to come out on top no matter what. Mm-hmm. It was just the spot. Everything felt good. The cover rate for teams coming out of a shutout in the NFL is immaculate. And this was just one of those spots. You just had to ride with the Falcons. Even if it was Jaden Daniels, I would have still liked the Falcons in this game. And I think they still would have won outright.
Bijan was excellent too.
Oh, yeah.
Bills Saints, not a lot to take away here, but I will say this is why I said last week, you can't be laying 15.5 points in September. You just can't do it. Saints hung around. It was never in doubt that the Bills would win, but they were never covering that number. I would have never bet the Saints, but if you see that, you can't in September start laying 16 points. You just can't do it.
November and December, you can talk me into it. There's a world where I would play a Bills minus 15.5. In September, we see crazy shit happen all the time with some of these mega spreads. I think back to a Bills Vikings game in 2019 or 2018 rather, when this was when the Vikings were really good and the Bills were shit. This was like the first or second year of Josh Allen, and he hadn't established himself as anything yet. And what do you know? The Bills went out there and won that game as a mega dog. And that they had no business. And it was an early game. I want to say it was like early October when they played the game. And they had no business winning the game. And what do you know? They went out and won the game outright. So you can't touch that stuff early on in the season.
Lions Browns kind of the opposite, but like I said, we're never laying 10.5 points in September. Lions blow out the Browns 34-10, and the Lions didn't play their A game. My take on this one is you got to start crediting Dan Campbell, man. And I'm not talking to you. I'm not like saying
Mhm.
you have to start doing it. I'm
No,
just
you can say me. I'm part of the group.
if you're one of those people that's still like, oh, Dan Campbell, he was made by his coordinators. I think he turned the trick again. Kelvin Shepard, John Morton, they both
Yeah.
look the part. This team looks the part. They haven't lost the physicality. They haven't lost the quote unquote grit, but
Mhm.
they're just, they look every bit the best team in the NFC North. They look every bit a Super Bowl contender. Now, defensively, I still think they have some problems, and you won't play Joe Flacco and the Browns every week, but offensively, they haven't skipped a beat. The Packer game was an anomaly. They are right back to where they were.
Yeah, the casual fan is never going to credit a team for blowing out the Browns, but I think both you and I will because we know what Cleveland is defensively. Now,
Yeah.
you can only hold on to that rope for so long before your arms get tired, and that's exactly what happened in this game. I mean, Cleveland kind of hung around for a little bit. Like they gave it a good fight out of the gate, but then after that, it was just back to the same old Browns. The offense, they lose you, and then there's only so much resistance you can hold up defensively. So that's just what this game was. You're going to see games like this for the Browns, but I think more times than not, you and I are going to be on the Browns when we're seeing double-digit type of spreads.
All right, Patriots, Panthers. I want to spend a minute on this one
Yeah.
because I said last week it was Patriots or pass, but I don't think they'd earned the right to be laying 5.5 against anybody. I now think they have earned the right to start laying that number against some of the worst teams in the NFL. 42-13, absolute dismantling of the Panthers. And it wasn't just that they won it in blowout fashion. I think they made Bryce Young want to quit football. Did you see the fourth down throw when he just laid it at a Patriots defender's foot?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm ready to get on the plane and get out of here. That was the most impressive performance I have seen from a Patriots team since Tom Brady was the quarterback. Have you seen the Drake May stat?
Is it about completion percentage?
Yeah, in the last like whatever. Here's the way I'll lay it out. The last quarterback to have a 3-game stretch of completing at least 70% of their passes with 2 touchdowns was Tom Brady in his first MVP season. The last 5 quarterbacks to do it, it's only happened 8 times that a quarterback has had a 3-game streak like this. The last 5 quarterbacks to do it all won AP NFL MVP.
Wow.
Do we dart
No, no,
Drake
no.
May to win MVP?
He threw the ball 17 times
I
in this
know.
game.
I
Like
know.
there is something to the sample size of how you get it. It almost I liken it to the way Cade Horton's getting compared to Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson was throwing no hitter or complete games in that stretch. Cade Horton wasn't going more than 5 or 6 innings in it. But no, like the stat that I was alluding to is who is your completion percentage leader in the NFL right now? It's Drake May at
Yeah.
74%.
And
So
you know what's funny? We've talked about him having subpar performances, but it's a bit like Caleb, where you watch the game and you go, he doesn't look great today. But then over a 3-game sample, you look up and you go, he's playing some of the best football of
yeah,
any quarterback. So at some point, we just have to say it might look less than good on down by down basis, but
mhm,
overall, they are playing well. And I don't
yeah.
think there's any doubt right now. Caleb and Drake May are looking like the 2 best quarterbacks from that draft class as we sit here in week 5 now of the NFL season.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Jaden Daniels looks like when he gets back because he was obviously by far and away the best of last season. But Bo Nix has not been good. I
No,
know they won last night and he had a couple of nice throws, but the
that
interceptions in the red zone too.
and that
Whew,
Cincinnati defense is no good,
for
man.
sure.
Like, so whatever you do against them, you have to take it with a grain of salt. I just wonder if, like, remember who the 2 generational guys were? The guys that everybody billed as you have to draft them. They're absolute can't miss prospects. It was
Mhm.
Caleb and it was Drake May. And so far through 5 weeks, through 4 weeks, going into the 5th week, those 2 look comfortably the best of this crop.
Yes, I would agree based off of what we've seen so far. And in the Drake May case, like his thing is that all right, he's 14 of 17. And this game isn't the one that I'm gonna cherry pick off of because I think this is more for some of the other games, but it's like those 3 incompletions usually 3 of the worst throws you've ever seen.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
14 completions are some of the cleanest football you'll see.
Yep.
So he lives on the extremes. I don't know if I'd want Drake May as my quarterback in a shootout where you're going to need to throw it 30, 35, maybe even 40 times because you're just going to set things up for that volatility to strike you and bite you in the ass. But at the same time, like if you're going to play a kind of a ground control game, he's not a game manager because he's got too much of a knack for like the spectacular in some of those big time moments. But at the same time, I don't know if I want him to be my quarterback when he's throwing 40, 45 times.
All right, MetLife, Giants, Chargers, another great sniff. It was
Oh,
Giants or nothing, man. And Giants just win the game. Dart season has arrived. I'm not ready to say that Dart is ready to take the Giants, like save their season or anything. Made a few nice plays. He scored a
Can he
touchdown.
save the win total? Is all I'm asking.
Maybe. Can I tell you another little story? And this is one nobody's going to care about, but I'm pissed off about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was in line at the kiosk. I didn't know you can't bet anytime touchdowns at the desk at the
Yeah.
sports
Yeah.
books.
I learned that too.
So I wrote in pencil a little ticket that I was going to bet anytime touchdown parlay. Abuka, Josh Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jackson Dart, all to score anytime touchdowns. They all scored. I walked up to the desk and I said, "Can I bet this in a parlay?" And he goes, "We don't do anytime touchdowns."
You should have just told me. I would have, because I could have gotten him on the app.
By that time, I was trying to do this 5 minutes before kickoff. I had no chance. But I like looked yesterday and I'm like, wow, they all scored. That's
Damn.
unbelievable.
That's brutal. That is brutal.
Sometimes it's the bets you don't make.
Yeah.
Eagles, Bucks.
Wait, can I just real quick on the Giants?
Yeah, go ahead.
They are 1.5 point dogs at New Orleans next week. Feels like a letdown spot for the Giants.
Hold on, what?
They are 1.5 point dogs at New Orleans next week. Or I guess this week.
Are the Saints a quad bomb?
They might be. I mean, like, you got an 0-4 team given points, and you've got a Giants team that probably blew a little bit of their wad week 1. Now there's some tape on Jackson Dart out there. Like, you know where you and I live in a game like this, right?
You know what I'm going to tell you? If you want to be really ballsy, use New Orleans and Survivor. You could save all your best teams this weekend.
Oh boy.
And use New Orleans. You will never use the Saints again. This could be the spot.
I'm not going to I'm looking through the board here. Like the Cardinals are hosting the Titans. That's the only game where I'm like, oh, that could be the Survivor team this week. Maybe the Colts against the Raiders. But there's a lot of tough matchups this week for Survivor purpose. I would probably use the Vikings, to be honest. They're playing in London against the Browns. They've been out there for a week, but boy, if you want to get ballsy, yeah, the Saints would be that team.
If you want to be real bold and save the good teams for later, you will never have another opportunity to use the Saints at Survivor.
You know why both you and I are betting the Saints this week? It's because we have the Giants win total over. So if we lose, this could be a lose the battle, win the war type of week for us too.
Yep. Wow. I did not see that line. That is incredible. Okay. Eagles, Bucks. Look, Eagles win this game in large part because of another special teams fluke. They got a special teams touchdown to start the game, punt block touchdown. They win the game by 6. But this is, again, the Bucks cannot survive this season if they're going to keep playing single score games where they have to will a comeback through Baker Mayfield. And they nearly got it. He threw a terrible first down interception on a drive to try to tie the game. It really was an 8-point loss, not a 6-point loss, because the Eagles took a safety late, kind of the same thing as Indiana. Eagles just find ways to win. It's what I said to you last week. I feel like they're the new Chiefs where they get the breaks and they end up with the result. But the Bucks, they are not playing well enough right now to just keep living on the knife edge of one-score games. They got to get this right.
Yes, 100% agree. I think this kind of tells a story of both teams here too. It's like you can't keep pulling off the trick especially when you're down double digits in the NFL. you can't keep living on that. And you're a banged up team to begin with, too. You got some guys back healthy in this game, but you're still without your best receiver. You're still without some significant pieces on your offensive line. You're not going to win games. You're not going to continue to do that if you need to live by the 1-score game rule. And then on the flip side, too, I mean, Philly went out and dominated this first half. We saw like a little bit of that first half Eagles that we saw from, what was it, 2 seasons ago when they went to the or 3 seasons ago now when they went to the Super Bowl. Like they were just dominant right out of the chute with a lot of those. But that second half, man, Jalen Hurts 0 for 8. Like, how does that even happen in the second half? And you got A.J. Brown spouting off on Twitter, too. Have a feeling he won't be on this team next year, by the way.
I definitely don't believe he will. And
this is why both you and I are always in the camp of, listen, Jalen Hurts is good. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not in that tier. And you can talk your way into him not being one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. It's because of stuff like this. I mean, if he goes 0 for 3 in the second half, all right, that you can explain away by a small sample size. The reason why you wouldn't be throwing more than 3 times and a half, too, is also beyond me. But if you go 0 for 8 in the second half, like, that's not sample size. That's just bad quarterback play.
Yeah, and I still the Bucks, I think, are an elite NFC team, mostly because their schedule's pretty easy the rest of the way. They play in a dog shit division. I think they've got some freebies on the schedule. I wonder what the Eagles look like when it's the Lions on the other side, or if the Packers are right, which I can't make heads or tails of them either right now, but what do they look like when it's the Packers on the other side? Because I have not seen the A+ performance out of the Eagles yet. And I wonder if they have it in the tank. Like, I still am not moved on my initial take. Neither the Eagles or Chiefs are going to make the Super Bowl this year. I still I like the Bills in the AFC, and I still like the Rams in the NFC.
I think out of this week, you got to feel pretty good about the Rams.
Texans, Titans, I don't have a lot here. Stroud had his first good game of the year, but the Titans are just fucking terrible. And Brian Callahan, is he going to make November?
Yeah. Oof. My favorite thing is the candidness of Cam Ward these days. How'd you play? We're ass.
Yeah. Well, what else can you say? They're terrible.
I mean, and the best part of it all, too, is it's September 30th. Rent is due for the graphic designers. We're ass is every single Titans graphic that you see on the internet right now.
It's fantastic. We just talked about Rams Colts a little bit. Rams side of things, they escaped. Colts side of things, they're legit. Like, I think we were sort of wrong, sort of right on this being the sell high spot for the Colts. The Colts are just good. The offense is good. Steichen's got everything working finally the way he wants. Daniel Jones is a capable quarterback to run this particular offense. If A.D. Mitchell isn't the biggest fucking moron ever, the Colts win this game.
Yeah.
But A.D. Mitchell is a complete moron and drops the football on his way into the end zone. Fumble, touchback. Rams get the ball. Tutu Atwell puts you in a coffin.
And then on top of that, wasn't it for him either. He also had a holding call that wiped away a 50-plus yard touchdown from Jonathan Taylor, too. That's 14 points you cost your team in a 7-point game.
I'd be a terrible GM because I would cut A.D. Mitchell this morning. I'd be like, you're gone. We don't need you anymore. Rams side of things, I have a take that I want to know, is this an overreaction or is this reality? Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in football.
Dude, his numbers are insane right now.
I thought it was a fucking typo when I pulled up his Pro Football Reference page. 42 catches through 4 weeks.
Yeah. It's nuts. I think part of it too, he's never played with a receiver as good as Devontae Adams next to him. And I get that he's played with Cooper Kupp, but for Stafford to have those weapons now, it's night and day for them. I think the other part of it too is think of the elite wide receivers in the NFL right now and who's throwing them the football. Like Jamar Chase is pissed that he's got Jake Browning. Justin Jefferson, I mean, take your pick of whoever's throwing him the football. Neither are good options right now. So I think that AJ Brown. I mean, like, I think all of that has a little something to do with it, but that's not to say Puka's not one of the 3. Like, in terms of like just most talented receivers, the output is clearly the best in the NFL right now.
Yep.
But in terms of the just natural ability too, I mean, he's definitely in that class of like top 3, and you don't think of it because he's not as twitchy and he doesn't have like that LSU to him that guys like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson do, and that's why we think they're the best receivers in football. But you got to look at the production, but I think a lot of it has to do with who's throwing him the football too. He clearly has the best guy out of all that, and that's not to take anything away from him. He's still making things happen out there. Just because you have Matthew Stafford throwing you the football doesn't mean you're locked into average 10 catches a game. So I think all of it, it's the perfect formula for why Puka's looking the best out of any receiver right now.
Yeah. Jags Niners. Less about the Jags here, more about the Niners. Look, the Jags they have every right to feel like they can win the AFC South. I just don't find them particularly interesting. I
No.
don't think they played particularly well. I don't think their quarterback is very good. I don't know what you do with Liam Cohen, but they went on the road. You credit them. They got a big win over San Francisco. San Francisco lost the battle and the war. Why did you rush Brock Purdy back?
No.
Now he's got a re-aggravated toe injury. He might miss this week. You could have just played Mac Jones. Everything was going good. Why did you rush Brock Purdy back? If Purdy misses time, now McCaffrey's banged up again. You've already lost Nick Bosa for the year. It's
Kittle's
Niner
hurt.
injury bug season. Dude, there was a point in this game where Jawan Jennings could not enter the medical tent because the medical tent was already occupied by Ricky Pearsall.
No room in the inn.
It was the most Niners game ever. And I just 3-0 start was great, dude, but are they good? Like, I just look at the NFC West and I go, I know the Niners are 3-1. I know the Seahawks are 3-1. I know the Cardinals are 2-2. And this looks like the best division in football on paper. But I think there's only one good team in that group, and it's the Rams.
Yeah. Seattle may have something to say about it by the end of the year. I think Seattle is going to be completely contingent on how they do in the division. And you already have at least one under the belt with the Arizona win this week. But
Yep.
yeah, no, I both you and I like the Rams heading into this season, and I think you're starting to see like the Niners. I mean, they haven't even gotten Brandon Ayuk back.
Yep.
And they're already dealing with a lot of these injuries. So, and they had just gotten Jennings back, and I think Demarcus Robinson too also came back in this game. He was serving a suspension, so it was a little different. But yeah, no, this Niners team, man, it is. I don't know how. Usually, you don't see it happen in consecutive years with them, but now you're seeing back-to-back years of the Niner injury bug being a big time thing, and like Mac Jones is perfectly capable, and you could have had like the Mac Jones revenge spot too. I mean, he was good in his small sample in Jacksonville from a season ago. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to really make of this Niners team. You are 3-1, which you take. And on the flip side, too, like Jacksonville, anytime you're 3-1 with the first year head coach, you take that and run to the bank with it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know none of these wins have really been particularly pretty, but if you're 3-1, including a win on the road in San Francisco, which is a tough place to play. I mean, those fans get up for those games too. I think you got to be happy if you're the Jaguars, but on the flip side, if you're like those are two very different 3-1s that you're
Yeah.
feeling right now, neither of which have been particularly pretty, but I think one team's feeling good about it and one team not so much.
Jags enter a bit of a gauntlet on the schedule too, though.
Yeah.
Chiefs this week. Now it's a long week. You get them on Monday night at home. Seahawks, Rams. That's your next 3 weeks. But am I crazy if I tell you, like, I kind of think the Jags are a little live, getting 3.5 points at home against Kansas City. I know everybody's all up on the Chiefs. They're back. Xavier Worthy saved the offense. Again, I think it's more about the Ravens. And I'll tell you another thing. We talked a couple weeks ago. Do the Ravens have a John Harbaugh problem after the Bills loss? The way to lose games is typically in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are they doing? Consistently going 3rd and short, 4th and short with Derrick Henry not on the field.
Yeah. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and you're taking your best short yardage guy. Like, at least have him out there for the illusion it could be him. Isn't the most dangerous play you could run on 3rd and 4th and 1 an option play with Lamar and Derrick Henry? Can you find me a better duo to run that?
Or line up heavy with like an 8-man offensive line, a fullback, and Derrick Henry with Lamar under center. You will force the defense to load the box and then just run Lamar on a naked boot. Like, how would that ever not work?
Yeah.
But not having Henry on the field in short yardage is unforgivable. And yeah, the Chiefs rescued their season getting back to 2-2. They have every right to feel good about themselves blowing out the Ravens. But I wonder if the Ravens are any good. I think the Lions played a part in making them maybe not be good. And the Chiefs now going on the road to Jacksonville with the Jags feeling really good about themselves. I don't know if that's a spot where I want to start laying north of a field goal with the Chiefs. I think that might be early look Jags.
I the way I would see it is I would be very shocked if the Chiefs lost, but it could just be another one of those, listen, Mahomes finds a way to win but not cover type of
Yeah,
games.
it might be one of those two where we're holding +3.5, and as soon as we see a +3 live on Kansas City, we just hit the money line.
Yeah, right. And we find ourselves a really happy middle there.
Bears Raiders, little more time here.
Yeah.
Just I know we're up against it, but little more time. Bears won a game that they absolutely deserved to win. Defense and special teams were both terrific.
Mhm.
Offense was terrible. This is what good teams do. Um, I I was not impressed with the performance. I thought it was really sloppy. Caleb was fine, but the offense on the whole, the penalties you took, the
Yeah.
inability to convert touchdowns with half your drives starting in plus territory, it was unacceptable. Some of the play calling I thought was awful. Not that Ben Johnson has more football knowledge in his pinky nail than I have in my body, but I thought the game plan was rough. You've got single blockers on Max Crosby in the first half, like Theo Benedette trying to
Mhm.
solo block Max Crosby,
Yeah.
running those stupid little flat screens to Crosby's side with a single blocker on him. Crosby blew it up, if not once, twice, three times. Batted balls at the line of scrimmage. Like there's a lot that's got to be worked on coming out of this. But good teams on days where the offense is going to look like this, defense and special teams will lift you up. You took the ball away 4 times. You got a huge blocked kick. Cairo was 4 for 4. Everybody else took care of their business, and the Bears got a win.
Yeah. No, this is and I've said this before, but like these are games that the Bears historically lose when all the shit goes wrong. Not only do they historically lose, but you usually lose them by at least 2 possessions too.
Yeah.
Double digit type of stuff. Like I came away from this like you never apologize for a road win in the NFL.
Yep.
Wins already are hard to come by. And I get that you had, I mean, you and I were in that building. It was probably 65-35 Bears fans, right?
Yep.
Maybe even you could make a case 70-30. Um, but you don't apologize for road wins in the NFL. They're so tough to come by. And especially when you're an underdog in these games and you go out and win on the road like that, games that you maybe don't deserve to win, but find ways to win in fourth quarters. And yeah, you're right. Caleb didn't play great in this game. I also think Max Crosby was just firmly implanted in his. I mean, that guy had a 12-car garage in Caleb Williams' head.
Yeah.
Like that's what you were working with. Whenever he moved, whenever he did anything, that's when you started to see Caleb speed up a little bit. But in the second half, when they started to change things, and maybe Crosby was a little bit more worn down in that second half too, you saw some of the like that throw to Roma Dunze for the touchdown, magnificent.
Yep.
I mean, it was just perfect football right there from Caleb to Rome. He wasn't even out of his break, throwing with anticipation. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And they were able to put together a couple of drives that they needed in that second half, and it was the difference in the game.
I think you said it perfectly. Are there concerns that you can have about the Bears from this win? Absolutely. Should you apologize or feel bad for winning a game in the NFL? Absolutely not. Like survive an advanced spot. Anytime that you go on the road in this league, it is survive and advance. And the Bears found a way to do that. So there's nothing I'm going to say negative. You go into the bye week. Now you have an opportunity to look back, figure out what you've been doing wrong, get it right, have a good practice week next week after the bye's over and everybody resets a little bit. And let's get after it for the lengthy second half of this season. Um, but Bears saved their season. They're back to 2-2. Everything's back in front of them. If they can just win a couple divisional games here later in the year, I think they're in business. And it didn't have to be pretty to rescue the season. I think the bye week is coming at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Self scout a little bit, figure out what's been working, what hasn't, evaluate who's been working and who hasn't. Get a little healthier. You'll get Kyler Gordon back. You'll get TJ Edwards back, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your offensive line is more in place. I think they've made a decision on Braxton Jones, so we'll see what that looks like. But the bye week's coming at the right time for them, and you can't apologize for the way you beat Vegas. That's a huge win.
Yeah. Say it saved the season in the sense of like, all right, you can still be a competitive football team and like be in the mix. And who knows, maybe you backdoor your way into the playoffs somehow. It's like you look at the way that their schedule sets up, all of a sudden, Cincinnati is not a daunting game by any stretch of the imagination. You look at what Baltimore is dealing with too. You get those games back to back. I mean, Madubuike is done for the year. It's injuries galore on the defensive side of the football. Who knows what Lamar is going to look like by that point? Like
I mean,
all of a
dude,
sudden, they're not as scary.
can I tell you something right now?
What's up?
There's a world where going into the Vikings game, the Bears are 7-2.
It's the NFL, so
I know.
it's very tough for me to buy in that this team's going on a 7-game winning streak.
I know, but I'm just like, now there'll be dogs in 2 of these games, but they're going to be favored in 3 of them. If you just handle your business, you're 5-4 going into the Vikings game, and your life is in front of you. Like they're going to be dogs on the road after the bye week at Washington, but I also think that's a winnable game. I haven't liked what I've seen from the Commanders. Saints in Soldier Field, you're favored. At Baltimore, I think you're probably a dog unless this Lamar thing lingers and Baltimore's just injury plagued beyond belief. You're probably a dog going into Baltimore. But if Lamar doesn't end up playing that game, I can't tell you you're not winning it. Bengals, we know how they might be the worst team in football without their quarterback. They look awful. And then you get the Giants at home. Like there's a world here where you just rip off a 7-game win streak.
That's very lofty.
Very
lofty.
I'm not predicting it. I'm not saying it will happen, but you will be favored against the Saints. You will be favored against the Bengals. You will be favored against the Giants.
Yeah. And then what's the game after the Giants? Is that the Browns or is that
at Minnesota?
Oh, at Minnesota. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's out in front of them for them to be an above 500 team in the second half. Like
But
going into the true second half of the season, you will have a record above 500.
This is again why playing the schedule game preseason is a useless effort, because when you play it preseason, Ravens and Bengals are automatic losses. But now we're sitting here in week 5, both those games are incredibly winnable.
Yeah.
Bengals game, like if you lose the Bengals game, that is
it'll feel
totally
bad.
Unacceptable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Packers and Cowboys. I'll just say this. I'm not spending a ton of time on the Monday night games because they were both horrible. Like I'll just get the Jets side of things out of the way since I bet them. Justin Fields fucking sucks. He's awful. If you have him on your fantasy team, terrific. You're going to get wonderful seasons out of him. I think he had a 30-point fantasy week. Enjoy that. But as a football player who contributes to winning games, that dude is terrible. I'm not betting the Jets anymore as long as he's quarterback. And I don't think Tyrod Taylor is saving them either. Aaron Glenn even said after the game last night, we aren't ready to win football games. Yeah. So just stay away from the Jets. Miami, Mike McDaniel got back in his bag a little bit, but now Tyreek Hill's dead. So, hey, I have Jalen Waddle in fantasy. I'm not shedding tears. Packers, Cowboys, though. You got to help me with the Pack. Mm-hmm. We've both agreed they have one of the best defenses in football and that Jordan Love would be the problem. So explain to me how we got not good, we got great Jordan Love in this game.
Yeah.
And it ends in a 40-40 tie. How can their defense look as good as it did for 3 weeks and then put that out? Did Micah Parsons play?
Yeah, he got the one sack at the end. Now, the sack that he got at the end may have saved the game for them, but there's no scenario where I thought you were scoring 40 points. You were going to drop 40 points. Even, okay, let's just say 37 points in regulation because that's what they had. There's no world where they drop 37 points and lose to the Cowboys.
Dude, there's no world where I thought they'd drop 37 points and not cover a 6.5-point spread. How did their defense put that on tape?
Now, let's just call it what it is, too. Like, Dak Prescott is, I'm just kind of like thinking through the Packers schedule. Is Dak Prescott the best quarterback that they've played against this year? Yeah. Like, Dak at home is a different beast. Like, he is a really, really good quarterback when he's at home. And, like, George Pickens is just like, he had 2 explosive touchdowns in this game, and that's really is the difference for you.
And
Like,
Dak leads the league in passing. Um, the Pickens stuff, it sounds like they're going to give him an extension. Jerry Jones had some comments about it today that he's going to be a part of their future. Early, it felt like he couldn't replace CeeDee Lamb because he's not as versatile of a receiver as CeeDee Lamb, but boy, he
mhm.
was just awesome. And it's going to be bizarre. Like, I thought the Steelers made a mistake moving on from George Pickens as early as they did. If he's half of what he looked like on Sunday night against the Packers, I'm comfortable saying that the Steelers made a mistake moving off of him. He was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. And our George Pickens moment of the week, too. There's always one guy who, after a tie, says, I had no idea you could tie in the NFL. And
He's
who was it
amazing.
this week? It was George Pickens.
I have to tell you, he might be my favorite player in football.
He's so fun to watch, both for better and for worse.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite player in football because I know I'm getting like one of the most talented receivers that on a week in, week out basis. He's just awesome to watch. The
Yeah.
catch he made on the sideline late, the
Oh,
ability to keep
yeah.
his feet in, dude, he's unbelievable. But I also know there will be a ridiculous meltdown.
Yeah. You will see 5 of the dumbest plays in football this year from this guy. But you will also see 5 of the most spectacular plays of the season from this guy.
By the way, best wide receiver moment of the week was not Puka, was not George Pickens. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I do not know.
Tyreek Hill, after his knee
Oh,
explodes
yeah.
on the cart, going, yes, because he doesn't have to play for that team anymore.
He'd rather
That
have
was
his knee explode than have to play for Mike McDaniel one more game.
that was the wide receiver moment of the decade, maybe. I have never seen a receiver celebrate their season end on the back of the cart.
That's like Marshawn Lynch on the golf cart there, going off.
I
That like
was
that
dying
reached
watching that.
that reached Antonio Brown level of just leaving, like quitting mid game.
Yeah, it was like instead of just taking your jersey off and walking out of the end zone shirtless, I'm gonna explode my own knee and then cheer about it on the back of the golf cart. It was unbelievable. All right.
Unbelievable.
Anything else before we wrap it up?
Um. Oh, real quick, this was the kicking thing I wanted to get to in this, and it's not really a kicking thing; it's more of an overtime rule thing. Um, Knowing what we know and how we've seen the overtime rules play out, and correct me if I have this wrong on what the rule is, but you don't necessarily get to complete your drive. You just are entitled to a drive. Like, but what happens if you kick a field goal and you just drain all 10 minutes of overtime?
Um,
Like,
I
why? Go ahead.
I believe the way it works is if the first team to get the ball scores, you are not entitled to completing your drive. But if they haven't scored, you are. So like if the first team takes 7 minutes off the clock in an empty possession, I believe you are entitled to complete your drive and try to win the game.
Okay. I'll have to dig into some of the overtime rules here,
That's
but like
that's how I think it works.
my personal philosophy is this: in this new overtime format, where even if you score a touchdown first out of the gate, the other team gets the ball. I'm taking the kick. Like I'm treating the coin toss exactly how they used to treat it, where you win the toss in overtime, you take the ball. In this game, Green Bay won the toss but deferred to Dallas. Dallas had what? How long with the football? Like 6 minutes, I
Six
think that.
minutes, I think.
And you're giving yourself 4 minutes. Now on the flip side here, if you go out and score a touchdown and conduct an 8-minute drive, like you're going for a touchdown no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Your intent to when you have the football is to score a touchdown. If you're leaving the other team 2 minutes to get 7 points, I'd much rather do that. I'd much
Yeah.
rather be the ones that get to dictate the time of the possession out of the shoot.
Well, and I also don't fault us for not knowing the rules because I have to imagine Jordan Love didn't know the rules. With 15 seconds left,
Yeah.
just walking to the line, no urgency. I don't think anybody, because I feel like we've watched this before where overtime went into a second period so somebody could complete their drive. I don't know if that's actually we watched this or if it just happened to me in Madden, but I think we've seen it. And my belief is that if you are not trailing, if the game is still tied, you are entitled, and it's your first drive, you
Mhm.
are entitled to complete your drive. but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Was
Well,
there a
we'll look
2-minute
this
warning?
up. Yeah, there was. Hmm.
Then maybe it does just end. But I really, it felt like the Packers approached that with the belief that they were allowed to complete their drive no matter what. And
Yeah.
then they found out late, oh no, that's not the case. You got to kick it here or you lose.
Yeah. I, I didn't make a lot of sense to me, but the way I would play this thing out, and I know everyone on the other side of my argument says that you want to know what you need, but if you just attack this out of the gate with we're trying to score a touchdown and we're going to bleed as much clock as possible, like what happens if you have a 9-minute touchdown drive, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe the best way to do it, honestly, is to just have overtime be untimed.
yeah, no,
And
it's 100% how I feel. You want
each
you could you don't necessarily have to make it college overtime, but it's untimed.
in untimed overtime and like maximum 2 drives per team. So
Yeah.
if you're still tied after 2 drives, it's a tie.
Yeah. That's fine by me. I don't love the tie in the NFL, but if that's how you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah, agreed. I can't stand it. I would love if they would find a way to just finish games. But it is what it is. They're always going to end it in a tie because let's face it, it's a violent sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd prefer it be untimed, I think.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right. That'll wrap it up for the weekend recap edition of Pick a Side. We'll be back later in the week, I believe Thursday and Friday this week.
Yes, that works for me.
Thursday college picks, Friday NFL picks, back on our regular schedule. It is the Pick a Side podcast.